Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of the 3 Up, 3 Down podcast. I'm Daniel. This is my dad, Scott. And today is our first episode. Hopefully there will be more episodes of this podcast, but figured with the first episode, since we're taping this on Monday, tomorrow is Tuesday the 21st, we're going to go over what we would personally vote for if we had our own Hall of Fame ballot. But before we dive into that, I want to talk a little bit about some of the signings that happened the past couple of days over the weekend. First thing that happened was the Dodgers signed Roki Sasaki over from Japan. Kind of a shock move, not really though. Everybody thought it was between the Dodgers and the Padres, but then once the Padres dropped out, it was like, okay, he's going to the Dodgers. Got a $6.5 million signing bonus from the Dodgers, and now joins that stack rotation. Like, what do you kind of like think of Roki Sasaki going to the Dodgers?
Well, everybody else is going to the Dodgers, but I like your idea of having an international draft.
Yeah, we talked about it before.
So everybody gets a fair shot, or
yeah,
everybody gets a fair shot of getting better. But I know whoever has more money, but it's starting to become where not everybody is equal when it comes to that international pool money and all that. That you had a great idea. I think that's great. Maybe I don't know how they do it, but that's the way it should be too. Yeah. Just like college kids coming in, same thing. I think.
Yeah, I think too with how organized a lot of these teams have become within countries like the Dominican, where they have like all these facilities now to like kind of build up and develop these international players. I feel like it kind of creates an unfair advantage where like they grab this kid when he's 13 in their development, they develop him on that thing, and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to sign with this team. Same thing with the Dodgers. It's a little different though with like the Japanese players, just because a lot of those guys are playing like organized baseball and they're like in their 20s. But and then after that, on I think, did he sign yesterday, Tanner Scott, or was that Saturday? I think it was yesterday.
But I think too though, you got to give some of those clubs credit when they go find those 13-year-olds. So it's almost penalizing. But then those other guys other teams have to do the same thing in order to be like that. But like Dodgers have those good scouts and they go all over and they get these kids and they develop them. So those other teams have to spend that much money to do that too in the international. Yeah. I mean, you can't really penalize them if they go after that really good. And they, other teams have to start doing that. Keep up with all these guys.
Yeah, I mean, if the Dodgers didn't trade away Jordan Alvarez and O'Neill Cruz, those are just more kind of like international guys they would have had.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you can't penalize the teams that are trying. Some teams don't try.
Yeah, especially like Seattle, Miami, Chicago, like all those teams. And then yesterday, I think it was, Tanner Scott signed with the Dodgers. 4 years, $72 million. He got a $20 million signing bonus. No surprise, $20 million of it was deferred. The Dodgers have been doing that a lot, where when they defer the money, they give it back to the player in the form of a bonus, so they still get that money immediately. But
yeah, I mean, they're getting away. They're getting around it. But I get to a point where I know I'm old school, but don't you want to compete against them? I mean, does everybody want to go play? I mean, I'd rather win my ring against them than, I don't want to say sell out is bad, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to compete. What happened to that? We need to compete. We want to compete against,
I mean, it makes sense for the Dodgers. Tanner Scott kind of owned Shohei his whole career. 10 games against Tanner Scott. Shohei struck out 3 times, only gotten 1 hit, only 1 walk, no homers. So it was smart for them. I don't really have a problem with the deferrals, and the only real problem with the deferrals I had was when Shohei did it, and he deferred $680 million of it. A lot of teams defer a lot of money. Scherzer, Strasburg, those guys deferred a lot of money to help them win a World Series. But I think when you defer that much money, it creates such an unfair advantage to where like now they could go out and sign Yamamoto, and then there was Snell, Scott, Roki, Teoscar.
Or you penalize them something, if they want to do that with the money, they lose a draft pick or something. To where that is, then okay, now they're losing something. But it just seems like then everybody's going to start doing. I mean, and then where's that going to be down the road when? I mean,
I mean, I've seen people talk about a lockout, but I personally don't see it happening because players want to keep the deferred money. I mean, those Dodger guys, like a lot of those guys are deferred money, so when they move out of California, that money's not getting taxed in California money, and owners aren't going to go for it because they get revenue sharing. So when the Dodgers are making money, they're still making money.
But the owner's got to do something. These payrolls are getting just crazy. It's their fault anyway, really. But it got to bring some. They have to bring it back down to somewhat reality.
Don't understand why some owners are like, oh man, Steve Cohen of the Mets, like he's ruining baseball, and the Dodgers is different. I mean, I don't. I saw someone bring this up where the Padres offered Judge a contract when Judge was a free agent, $400 million, and they were gonna MLB was gonna veto it because they thought it was gonna be too much money in tax, and now Dodgers are getting around it with deferring all the money.
Yeah, it's just we can argue or talk about the whole time, but we're D-back fans, so but we like our rotation. We like our team
fighting for second place. And then earlier today, like this morning, Anthony Santander, Blue Jays finally got their guy, 4-year, $92.5 million. There's a player option after the third season. There's a 6-year club option, and $35 million of it is deferred. It could be up to $50 if he takes the player option. But the Blue Jays finally get their free agent guy they've been going after. Santander and Hoffman, it's not a bad offseason haul, but when they were in the talks with Corbin Burns and Juan Soto, it's kind of a little bit of a letdown, but they got a solid team.
Sometimes those little pieces make your team better than,
They
got Bichette and
it's all for
Guerrero
if they don't try and extend Guerrero or Bichette.
Yeah.
Because at that point, it's like you got Varsho, Springer, Alejandro Kirk, and then after that, it's kind of like, okay, we don't really have any of these like big young superstars locked up.
I mean, the Yankees and the Dodgers did what they did, but we got Burns. I mean, with our rotation where it is, but those two teams loaded up again.
Yep.
But baseball, they don't repeat.
Nope.
So we'll see what happens, but
yep,
we don't like it.
I mean, because we always argue like a lot of these teams when they win so much in the regular season and they start to slow down in September, by the time they get to October, it's like
they gotta restart it.
They haven't played meaningful baseball in a month and a half, and they got to kind of ramp back up. I mean, the Diamondbacks, when they went to the World Series, they had to play until the very last day. They didn't clinch until the very last day, and they didn't even clinch on their own volition. They clinched because another team lost.
Baseball, it's hard once you get rolling to get it start back up, and then those 5-game series,
The Mets went to the NLCS. They had to play a day after the season ended.
Yeah,
2 games.
It's a crapshoot, man. Sometimes
I mean, I've seen people bring up is like the last year was like kind of the first time we've had like where both of the best teams went to the World Series in a long time. I mean, like,
and it was what was it, 4-2?
Yeah, 4-2.
I mean, it wasn't that. I mean,
the Yankees and Dodgers looked like they were in different stratospheres from one another.
I mean, I know Judge dropped the ball, all that, but it still wasn't close. I mean, really.
Yep.
But so, do you really want that, or you like some of these scrappy teams from like KC Cleveland. Back in the day? Yeah, Cleveland. Guys scraping, playing together.
Okay, so we've covered the kind of bigger signings. There's still some guys out there: Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman, kind of the two last big pieces left to fall. I have no idea where Alonso's going to go. I still think Bregman probably goes to Detroit. Maybe, but don't think he goes back to Houston. The Cubs have already said they really don't want to pay for him. So at that point, it's like Boston or Detroit. Boston's already made a couple moves. But I think Detroit.
You never know. Houston could sign him, and maybe the D-backs get the polar bear.
Yeah, you'd have to take a lot of money off that contract, which I don't think you will. Okay, so we've covered the kind of more recent signings, and now we're going to get into our Hall of Fame ballots. This is going up on Tuesday, the 21st, so later today. The Hall of Fame is officially revealed for the class of 2025, and we're going to go over who we would personally vote for if we had a ballot.
I'll go first since I don't like this as much as you do, but I bless you.
Thank you.
We're everyone in the hall. You know how I feel about
Mm-hmm.
the hall to me. So I guess I'm older. Was you know Babe. I mean, I don't want to say Babe Ruth, all those, but we got here. I'll give you my five, and I'll just Bobby Abreu,
Okay.
Felix Hernandez. I can say Bobby Abreu because as we were going, I mean, 98 to 2004, only one player had at least 150 home runs and 200 stolen bases. Him. I mean, he had a career 395 on base percentage with 288 home runs, 400 stolen bases. And the other players with this list, Bobby and Ricky,
Yep.
I mean, I think we didn't appreciate him like we should have. At least 20 stolen bases in 9 consecutive seasons, 291 average career, 288 home runs, stolen bases 400, OPS 870. I mean, that's what I mean. Yeah. That's what I mean. For me,
I mean, the other thing with Bobby is he wasn't, like you said, appreciated in his own time as much because I think, let me check, I think he only had like 2 or 3 All-Star appearances.
Yeah,
and he kind of played on teams that were like kind of mediocre, so they weren't like bad enough where he was just kind of dominating.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you got stats, and I'm not a analytics dude, big stat guy, but
yeah, 2-time All-Star, only won 1 Gold Glove, 1 Silver Slugger.
Yeah, but to steal the bases and do all this when you're on a list of Bobby should be a Hall of Famer. Barry, excuse me. Felix Hernandez. I know his career was short, but he was dominant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you did not want to go against him. He was dominant. I don't have all his stats, but that's that. Andrew Jones, young, won 10 consecutive Gold Gloves. 30 home run seasons, 51 in 2005. His defense alone is just spectacular. Came to Atlanta young age. And, to watch him play in center field, I got to watch him.
Mm-hmm.
I know you didn't. And I appreciate defense a lot, even in the NBA. But we'll get there to that. And then, so we got 1-3. Ichiro.
Mm-hmm.
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You don't need to say his stats. He was just incredible. Incredible arm, hitter, stolen base, you name it. And Billy Wagner.
No CC?
I do. I was waffle on CC. I would do it. Billy Wagner, 8th in all-time saves.
Mm-hmm.
ERA of 2.31. 422 saves. Those guys get no credit, but they get all the blame.
Yeah, they vastly underrate relievers. They're like kickers.
I would say CC. CC pitched good. I just Andy Pettit, but he was a good playoff guy. I don't know. I mean, I look at some of these names and I remember watching them play. I'm not a big Alex Rodriguez fan, but I would put him in too. Looks like Barry, but that's my ballot. And you're the stat man. you're the one like that. But that's what I would pick. And I was all day just work. There's so many stats, and it's just overwhelming sometimes. Then to watch them play, and then
it's overwhelming for us, and our votes don't even count.
Yeah.
And some of these guys who actually have a vote that count, they like kind of just throw it away.
But we're talking about stats, so I mean, we're talking about not a guy. If I like that guy, or he was a bad, we're talking about the sport in the sport of on the field. I know, you can't hold a lot of those guys are. Some are not nice guys.
Yeah.
But you got to just keep it, like for me.
Yeah.
On the field, but that's what I have.
And me personally, I'm a big ballot guy voting for 10 because there's not often times where everybody uses 10. So I like to vote guys to hopefully keep them on the ballot so that way one day. I mean, the biggest argument for that is Bobby Abreu. When Abreu first got on the ballot, he had like no support. But as time went on and analytics started to get more and more, people were like, hey, Bobby Abreu had like a pretty good career. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just use some of these votes are used for that to keep guys on ballots a little bit longer. So we, as time progresses, we can evaluate their career even more.
But people hear Bobby Abreu, and just like you said, it's just like.
Yeah, that's definitely a factor. I think a lot of people vote on the basis of like, did I watch that guy and did I think I was watching a Hall of Famer?
Okay, go ahead. I'm with you maybe on the second guy, but I.
So I used all 10 spots. Bobby Abreu, same thing. And if you look at his numbers, he was just like kind of not average, I want to say, but there was a stretch from 98 when he first got really a lot of playing time to 2004 where he was putting up about 6 WAR every year. And again, the counting stats too are there. Close to, what do you have, 2,500 hits. He had almost 300 homers, 400 stolen bases. To me, he's a no-brainer guy. Another no-brainer guy, Carlos Beltran. I think Beltran's gotten a little flack for being on Houston and being the kind of ringleader for the trash can stuff. But again, to me, Beltran, no doubt Hall of Famer, 70 WAR, 2,700 hits, 400 homers, 1,500 RBIs. Felix Hernandez I had as well, kind of that same guy where that's one of the bases I use for Felix is like when I watched him, it was like, okay, this guy's like future Hall of Famer, like nasty stuff.
Yeah, guys you don't want to
face.
Guys you just don't want to face at any time. Regular season, playoff, and you can put up a W for him. I would add. I was waffling on Dustin.
Yeah, I put you right.
Because he for a guy of his stature, he was gritty and really had his teams playing good. I would put Dustin. I would add Dustin.
Andrew Jones I have as well. I feel like it's kind of rare to see that kind of combination of power from a guy who like you wouldn't see as a power guy, and he was just such a great center fielder too.
I didn't know he had that many
430. He has almost the same homers as Beltran.
I didn't know he had that many 7-3-30 home run seasons.
Yeah.
Until I was looking, I watched him play.
Jones kind of falls victim to the fact that he was fantastic when he started his career, and as his career went on, he kind of fell off and was very bad.
He started so young.
Yeah. Pedroia, same thing. I used this one to kind of keep him on to hopefully reevaluate his career. He had the injury kind of ended his career, but his numbers were Hall of Fame numbers. He was MVP, Rookie of the Year. If he played a little bit longer, he would have gotten to like 2,300 hits. Then that same ilk, I thought about putting on David Wright, but I think Wright was a little bit different, probably because Boston was so good. But Wright, I think, could be on here, but I left him off. I think Wright will stay on the ballot. The two easy ones for me, Sabathia and Ichiro, same thing. They have the counting stats. We were like, okay, Hall of Famer. Chase Utley I have. You didn't have Utley, did you?
No.
Utley kind of was... I think Utley should have won MVP probably. Rollins and Howard took MVPs, but he probably should have won MVP, but he's one of the... up there with second baseman in stats. Let's see, he had 1,800 hits, close to 300 homers, 275 average, a 64.5 career WAR. So I put Utley on here. Another one, easy one for me, Wagner. I've been on the Wagner train for a while. I think they underrate relievers too much in the Hall of Fame. Sorry, our cat's trying to get in. The relievers are underrated in the Hall of Fame. I think there should be more relievers in the Hall of Fame. John Franco should have had a chance to be on it for more than 1 year. Countless other relievers. It took Hoffman like 7-8 years to get in. That's kind of crazy.
It's just ridiculous.
And then my 10th and final one, I put Ben Zobrist. Kind of that same thing where I want certain guys to remain on the ballot for a little bit longer to reevaluate their career. Ben Zobrist, like the first super utility guy, was like incredible at doing it. Played second base great, played shortstop great, played the outfield great. And he had something that doesn't show up on stat sheets. He was on 3 different World Series teams and played great roles in the World Series with the Royals, with the Cubs, and with and Tampa in 2008.
I'll take Ben. I'll take him anytime. He do whatever you can, do whatever it takes. I'll play second. I'll play third. I'll play first.
He played him good.
I'll play outfield, and not just play. Contribute.
Yeah.
I mean,
he kind of like started the trend of playing certain guys everywhere. Mookie Betts is probably not playing short, second, and outfield if Ben Zobrist doesn't do it first.
He's just not killing grass out in the outfield. He's to watch him play in the World Series playoffs is like, that's what you want your kid to be, just down and dirty player, man. Just did whatever it took.
And then that was my entire ballot. So the ballot or the official announcement comes if you're watching this on Tuesday the 21st, later today. Shout out to the team at 2025 Baseball Hall of Fame Tracker. Currently, they know 48% of the ballots. It looks like Ichiro and Sabathia are going to get in pretty easily. Wagner's at an 84.6% right now, so he could fall, but he's got like a 10% falling point. Beltran right now is over the 75% threshold, but when anonymous ballots get more known, a lot of the guys tend to fall a lot. So I doubt Beltran makes it. So it's looking like this year's Hall of Fame class is going to be Suzuki, Sabathia, Wagner, and then Dave Parker and Dick Allen from the Veterans Committee. Do you got anything else to say?
No, it's just so, I don't know. We can talk about the Hall of Fame, but that's not my specialty. But there's a lot of guys that should be in it. Barry. I mean,
Kenny Lofton.
Yeah, Kenny Lofton.
Lou Whitaker.
I would say McGuire and Sosa, what they did for baseball, you can penalize them. They knew, but everybody knew. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I'm just glad. So many stats, my head was going to explode. So, but that's it for me.
Okay, and then one thing we want to do after we get through all of the stuff we had planned, so the recent signings, the Hall of Fame, is just give us time to talk about whatever we want outside of baseball. It could be baseball, it could be outside of baseball. Do you got anything on your mind?
Well, now I want to keep what I have to say for our next show.
Next show, okay.
Because it could, I want to save it for our next show. But we got baseball starting, exciting. College football night, NFL playoffs this weekend, baseball. But I'm, looking forward to our next podcast, and we're coming to get you, man.
All right, thanks if you guys are watching. We appreciate it. If you would subscribe, leave a comment, like, all that good stuff. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you. Leave a review, 5-star. We thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you come to stay tuned in the next video, and we will see you next time.